Hare Krishna. So, welcome all of you in today's session. We continue our discussions on Tattva Sandarbha, in which we are discussing now from Prameya Khanda. Yesterday, we completed Anuched 29, and today we wish to proceed further now in the discussion of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan based on Bhagavatam. So, yesterday we yesterday we just yesterday we had seen in Prameya Khanda this Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan in terms of Srila Shukadev's experience. Srila Shukadev, how he was transformed from his state of Swasukha Nibhrita Cheta, right? From there, how he was transformed, that pleasure, bliss of self realization, uh, how he was transformed, and because of which he became Ajita Ruchira Leela Krishna Sara. So we saw those two terms, how he was transformed. And that's how naturally Lord's pastimes and all that, they have a higher impact than even Brahman realization. So we saw that particular aspect. Now, in order to establish Sambandha Vidya Prayojan, now he moves on, Jiva Goswami moves on to derive these principles from Srila Vyasadev's Samadhi. See, basically, he is analyzing experiences of two personalities in Prameya Khanda. One is Srila Shukadev himself, who is the speaker of Bhagavatam, and then Srila Vyasadeva, who is the author of Bhagavatam. So in the Anuched 29, he analyzed the experience of Shukadev, and he showed the aspect of Sambandha Videya Prayojan in that verse from 12th canto, Suta Goswami's verse. Now, in Anuched 30 onwards, all the way up to Anuched 49, 30 to 49, so that is 20 Anuchedas, he will analyze Vyasadev's Samadhi and show the different components of Sambandha Videya Prayojan coming over here. So you can see for Shukadev's Samadhi, he analyzed it only in one verse. Or the subsequent verses were quoted like the similar verses from second canto. All this Parinishthitopi Nairgunne, Uttama Shloka Leelaya Grahitcheta Rajarshya Akhyanam Jadanti Pula. Like the Prayana Munayo Rajan Nivritta Vidishedata, Nairgunyatharamante Sma Ganana Kathane Hare. All that was said, right? But basically, that is one Anucheda in which he is analyzing Shukadev's experience and how Shukdev, that's how Shukdev's experience shows that the Shuddha Bhakti or Krishna as Sambandhi Tattva is the highest manifestation. But now, when it comes to Vyasadev's realization, Samadhi, he has analyzed it for 20 Anucheda. Very, very long, because those few verses of Vyasadev's Samadhi from the seventh chapter of first canto actually have so much of philosophical insight. Uh, Amazing philosophical insight is there. Because what Vyasadeva saw is very, very particular in terms of, it's a complete description of truth. He saw the Supreme Lord, Apashyat Purusham Purnam. He saw the Jiva Shakti. He saw the Maya, Mayancha Tadapashrayam. Yaya Sammohita Jiva, he saw the Jiva Shakti. He saw also the Swarupa Shakti. So it's a complete description actually of reality. Krishna with his Swarup Shakti, Jiva Shakti, Maya Shakti, the effect of Maya Shakti, Yaya Sammohita Jiva, the effect of Swarupa Shakti, Anarthopashamam Sakshat Bhakti Yoga Madhokshaje. So all this is there. So it's quite a uh, detailed perception that Vyasadeva has actually. That's why he's analyzing it to 20 anuchedas he is taking the analysis. Quite a big analysis, right? So from Anuched 30 to 49, you can see it's all dependent on those 5-6 verses of first canto, 7th chapter, Vyasdev Samadhi. And this much can be spoken on it that way. Why? Because it has full scope of analyzing Maya Shakti, Jiva Shakti, Swarupa Shakti, Purna Purushottam Bhagavan. Everything is there in that. So that's why he has done it. So, in the sense of Suchi Kataha Nyaya, he has done first wind up of Srila Shukadev's samadhi, or rather experience, in the sense of Suchi Kataha Nyaya. You understand this Suchi Kataha Nyaya? There are a lot of Laukik Nyayas. You must have heard many of the Laukik Nyayas like Tandula Vrishchik Nyaya, Kak Tali Nyaya. So there is one particular grantha called as Laukika Nyaya Kosha, so which has 364 Nyayas enlisted. Some of you may be teaching to students or boys, young kids, and you may like those Laukika Nyayas like Kakataliya Nyaya, Dehali Pradeepa Nyaya, Nagnamatrika Nyaya, Tandula Vrishchika Nyaya, all such Nyayas are there. Right? So one of the Nyayas is Suchi Kataha Nyaya. What does it mean? See, Suchi means needle, and Kataha means a big pan, kadhai. Kataha means a big kadhai, cauldron. So a big cauldron or a big kadhai pan. So if you give to some manufacturer or somebody who makes these things like a needle or a big pan, so if you give him task to make a needle and a big pan, which one do you think he will do first? Both the tasks are given to one man. So will he do the needle thing first or will he do the pan first? What do you think, Chaitanya Prasad Prabhu?
Needle thing.
He'll do the needle thing first. Yeah. Yes, very true. So Suchi Kataha Nyaya. The smaller tasks are done before and then the bigger tasks are touched. First, you get rid of all the small tasks. So that is basically what Jiva Goswami is doing here, analyzing Srila Shukadev's meaning experience in one verse. He has dealt with the Suchi. Now he wants to deal with the Kataha, uh, the big cauldron of Srila Vyasdev's Samadhi. So that is Suchi Kataha. Smaller tasks are done before the bigger tasks. That way. So now he will analyze this and we will see this. Bhagwan's meaning Samadhi, Vyasdev Samadhi, in which he sees Bhagwan and all that, those aspects. So let us see now. Okay, so this is Anuched 29 done already. Now this is Anuched 30 begin. Okay. तादृशमेव तात्पर्यं करिष्यमाण तद्ग्रंथ प्रतिपाद्य तत्व निर्णय कृते तत्प्रवक्तु श्री बादरायण कृते समाधौ अपि संक्षेपतः एव निर्धारयति. So he says that Tatparya or the import which was mentioned by Sut Goswami by quoting that verse Svasukha Nibhrata Cheta Tad Vyudastha Anya Bhava, that one, right? That same Tatparya, that same import of Bhagavatam in terms of Sambandha Videya Prayojana, he also decisively mentions it, Nirdharayati, through Vyasdev Samadhi. Tadrishameva Tatparyam Nirdharayati. Similar Tatparya of Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan, he also decisively speaks in, deduces or decisively speaks in this series of verses. Because Sut Goswami is only the speaker here also, you know that. They're also here also. So, Tadrishameva Tatparyam Karishamanaha Tad Grantha Pratipadya Tattva Nirnay Krite. So, What is he doing actually? He is now going to speak about the samadhi of Tat Pravrupto Sri Badarayan Krite. He will speak now the samadhi of Sri Badarayan, who has composed this literature. So, by speaking about this particular section, what he will do, Grantha Pratipadya Tattva Nirnay Krite. So he will do also what all is there mentioned in this particular scripture, Grantha Pratipadya Tattva Nirnay. So Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan is basically that Tattva and Nirnay that we want to do like that. So he is now going to refer to Badrayan, meaning Vyasadeva's Samadhi. Badarayan sage Vyas is called as Badarayan because Badristhanam Yasya Ayanam Asti Saha Badarayan. Simple. One who has its shelter or ashray, or one who resides at Badrikashram, Badristhanam, Saha Badaraya. Like that. So this Badarayan or Vyasadev, his Samadhi also is showing the same aspects of Sambandha Videya Prayojan. So he says that. So he's quoting those verses now. See, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Male अपश्यत् पुरुषं पूर्णं मायां च तदपाश्रयां यया सम्मोहितो जीव आत्मानं त्रिगुणात्मकं परोऽपि मनुतेनार्थं तत्कृतं चाभिपद्यते अनर्थोपशमं साक्षात् भक्ति योगमधोक्षजे लोकस्याजानतो व्यासश्चक्रे सात्वत संहितां यस्यां वै श्रूयमाणायां कृष्णे परमपूरुषे भक्तिरुत्पद्यते पुंसः शोकमोह भयापः ससंहितां भागवतीं कृत्वानुक्रम्य चात्मजं शुकमध्यामया पयामास निवृत्ति निरतं मुनिम्. ठीक है. So the verses are quoted from first canto, 7th chapter, 4 to 8. These verses are quoted, 5 verses are quoted. Okay. And these are very popular verses. So the whole analysis is based on these particular verses. In verse Sandarbha, he established Tattva primarily on the basis of these verses. So in this verse, especially the first verse only we will see in next two Anuchedas. Later then second verse is being analyzed from Anuched number 30, 31, 32. 32 will begin the analysis of second verse. But these two Anuchedas 30 and 31 will analyze only first verse. Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Male Apashyat Purusham Purnam Mayancha Tadapashrayam. So in this verse, the verb is apashyat. Saha apashyat. He saw. Who saw? Kaha apashyat. Vyasadev saw. Vyasaha apashyat. Vyasadevaha apashyat. Vyasadev saw. What did he see? He saw Purusham. Vyasadeva Purusham apashyat. Vyasadev saw the Purusha. What sort of Purusha? Some Paramatma? No. Purnam Purusham. He saw the complete Supreme Personality of God. So that Purnam is a very, very important adjective over here. He saw Purna Purusha. So he saw Krishna. Actually, in his Samadhi, he saw Krishna. Krishna along with his consorts, Jiva, also Maya, all this he saw. What else did he see? Mayamcha. He also saw Maya. Achha, how is that Maya qualified? Tadapashraya. That Maya is said to be Tad Apashraya, Tasya Apashrayam. Tasya here refers to Krishna. And Maya is said to be Apashraya, meaning she is sheltered in the Lord. She has Lord only as the shelter, but she is standing apart. Apashrayam means she is standing apart. Apakrishto ashray yasyaha tam. Her ashray is apakrishtaha, meaning her ashray is actually situated behind the Lord. Aparah or apakrishtaha means that she was standing behind the Lord. She was not standing with the Lord in front of the Lord. No, she was standing at the back of the Lord. Paschim bhage, Vishwanath Chakravarti says. Paschim means you understand behind the Lord. So that is called as apashraya. It's a adjective for Maya. Tadapashraya. And this seeing was done by how, in what manner? Bhakti yogena. He saw this, apashyat. Vyasdev saw the Lord, apashyat. By what? Kena? Kena apashyat? Bhakti yogena apashyat. He saw this by bhakti yoga. So actually, this bhakti yoga shows prema bhakti. This bhakti yoga doesn't show sadhana bhakti. Why is that? Srila Jiva Goswami says, because he saw Purna Purusha in his samadhi. So, in order to see Purna Purusha, the Bhakti Yoga cannot be sadhana bhakti. It has to be Prema Bhakti. We know that only in Prema Bhakti we see Krishna who completely. Krishna cannot, otherwise Krishna can't be seen before Prema. You may be able to hear his flute or hear the tinkling of his ankle bells, but you can see the Lord as it is. I am saying Lord Shama Sundar Rupa. You can see only at the level of Prema. So that's why this Bhakti Yogena here is not going to talk about Sadhan Bhakti, but Prema Bhakti. So what does that mean? Later, Jab Bhakti Yoga, again it will come, no? Like this Sakshad Bhakti Yoga Madhokshaje. It will speak about Sadhan Bhakti. Later again Bhakti comes here. Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsa. This will again speak about Prema Bhakti. All these Bhakti words in this series of verses have different meanings. Bhakti Yogena initially means Prema. Then later Bhakti Yogam here means Sadhan Bhakti. Later again Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsa means Prema. So all this analysis is there. Jiva Goswami does that. But anyhow, here very clearly, because he saw the Lord clearly, he could see Lord Krishna with his beloved consort Sri Radha and all his gopis, and he could also see the jivas, and he could also see Maya Devi, who was standing behind the Lord. Tadapashraya. That. So he saw this all by Bhakti Yoga. And Kasmina Pashat. Where did he see this? He saw this within his mind or heart. Ridha, Ridhi, Manasi, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Male. So in this way, by Bhakti Yoga, which was embedded with Prema, which was marked with Prema, within his heart, he saw the Supreme Lord along with all these energies. So that manas or that rith, that heart is said to be also amale and samyak pranihite. So that heart was free from all contamination. So that also shows that it's a pure heart of love of Godhead. Of course, we know it's not that Vyasadeva needs samadhi to achieve a pure heart. No, he is Supreme Lord himself. He is Sakshat Narayan. But here he performed that pastime where he was first little bit bewildered, he was dissatisfied, and then, as per Narad Muni's instruction, he sat in the samadhi, controlling his senses and meditating on Supreme Lord. Samadhina tad tadanusmara tad vicheshtitam. Samadhina anusmara tad vicheshtitam. This Narad Muni says that, right? He instructs him that you should describe the glories of the Supreme Lord. Urukramasya akhila bandha muktaye samadhina anusmara tad vicheshtitam. He says that, right? So you should remember the Supreme Lord by samadhi and then describe his vicheshtitam. Like that, he had received instruction from Narad Muni. So Vyasadeva sat in the meditation, and in a pure heart, Amala, which is free from all contamination, uh, and Samyak Pranihite means Samahite, completely focused on the Supreme Lord. He saw the Lord, Apashat Purusham Purnam Mayam in this way. So the point is here, in this way, he saw the Supreme Lord that way. So later now, each one of these verses will be analyzed also for Jiva Shakti's analysis and Maya Shakti's analysis and all that. So we will see that as the Anuchedas come. But you can see that the meaning is clear to you. I will just give the textual meaning and then move on. Yaya sammohita jiva. That Maya, he saw that Maya also, and then Yaya is connected to Maya. By whom sammohita jiva? By whom the bewildered jiva? Manute. He thinks of himself. What does he think? He thinks himself as Trigunatmakam. Atmanam Trigunatmakam Manute. He thinks himself as a product of three modes of material nature. Although Jiva is what? Paraha api. Although Jiva is Paraha, he is transcendent to the three modes of material nature. But still he thinks himself Atmanam Trigunatmakam Manute. See, if you understand the verse very nicely, no, all the components of the verse, then it's very, very easy. Everything is easy. If we don't understand the verse, then it's all hazy thing. We don't understand. But that's why it's important that we should capture the words and understand the verse, what it is saying. So, all after saying that, he saw the Purna Purusha and he also saw the Maya, then it is said, Yaya Sammohita Jiva. That Maya by whom the Jiva is bewildered and thinks himself to be Manute, uh, product of three modes of material nature. Although Parahapi, although he is transcendental actually, Jiva is transcendent to Trigunatmakam Maya. And then what happens further? Paropi Manute Nartham Tatkritam Chabhipadyate. So he accepts himself what is anartham, which is what is not the real thing, the product of three modes of material nature. And then because of that, he also undergoes abhipadyate, the misery. Tat kritam anartham abhipadyate. This anartham can be put here also, here also. Here it basically means then he also undergoes tat kritam anartham cha abhipadyate. Because of that identification of himself as a product of material nature, meaning body. So he also undergoes abhipadyate anartha. Anartha means the suffering, the misery, right? Because you accept yourself as body, then naturally all the kleshas, bodily miseries, uh, all that he undergoes. So that is called as tatkritam anartham chabhipat. He undergoes also the anartha, the suffering caused by that particular identification, tatkritam. That. So, what is the solution that is spoken in the next verse? The solution to this is anartho pashamam sakshat bhakti yoga madhokshaje lokasya janato vyasas chakre satvatsam. So, if you want to get rid of this anartha, see this anartha is here, right? Same anartha is here. So, this suffering caused to the jiva, if you want to get rid of this suffering, this avidya, anartho pashamam. So, what should we practice? Bhakti yoga should be practiced. Anarthopashamam sakshat bhakti yogam adhokshaja. This adhokshaja, the bhakti yoga to Lord Adhokshaja should be practiced. See, it's a matter of practice, no? So that's why this is sadhan bhakti. Anarthopashamam sakshat bhakti yogam adhokshaja. Of course, there is a lot of analysis of that. What I'm saying is, it is talking about conditioned souls, that conditioned souls can can get rid of their suffering by this bhakti yoga. So naturally, it has to mean sadhan bhakti. Conditioned souls are not going to follow prema bhakti directly. So if you're talking about getting rid of suffering, then that verse bhakti yoga has to talk about sadhan bhakti at the level of sadhan. So that's why this particular verse is talking here at level of sadhan bhakti. This was talking at the level of prema bhakti. That's it. So Vyasdev, knowing that bhakti yoga is only the sadhana to get rid of the anarthas, especially to destroy all the suffering of the jivas. So Vyasadev, what did he do? Chakre Satvata Samhita. Chakre means he chakre, meaning he created, he wrote down, he compiled this Satvata Samhita, this Bhagavat Samhita, Paramhamsa Samhita, Vaishnav Samhita, Satvat Samhita. That way. Why? Because people are not aware of this lokasya ajanata. People are not aware, people don't know, people are ignorant. So Vyasadev, he wrote this Samhita, Bhagavat Puran, in order to give that Bhakti Yoga. So that's how in Vyasadev's Bhagavat Puran that he has given, we will find Sadhana Bhakti also, we will find Prema Bhakti also. Both the aspects are spoken. That. In fact, this Adhokshaja meaning is very nice. This Adhokshaja is Krishna actually. How is he Krishna? Very interesting meaning is there in Harivamsha of Adhokshaja. What is the meaning of Adhokshaja, which you know generally? Anyone can tell? What is Adhokshaja? Who wants to tell meaning of Adhokshaja? Yes, Murali Mukund Prabhu, what is meaning of Adhokshaja? Yes, Prabhu?
One reachable by above the.
No. Your voice is very much breaking. Can't understand. Srivatsa Chandra Prabhu, what is Adhokshaja?
Adhokshaja means one is above beyond the senses, who cannot be accessed through the senses. Akshaja is like eyes or the senses. Adhokshaja means one is beyond the senses, sense perception.
So he is beyond the sense perception, or you want to qualify that sense perception by some word? If Lord is beyond sense perception, then there can't be any Vaidush Pratyaksh. So is Krishna beyond sense perception? Okay, Sanatan Govind Prabhu.
One who is beyond the grasp of material senses.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, material senses.
Yes. So that's true. Adhokshaja means, see, adhakritam akshajam jnanam yasmat. That is basically Adhokshaja. Prabhupada also explained this in his purport. By whom the knowledge which is achieved by our senses, akshajam jnanam. Akshaja means eyes, but it is signifying all the jnanendriyas. So the knowledge achieved by our eyes and ears and nose is adhakritam. It becomes useless in understanding him. Adhakritam akshajam jnanam yasmat saha adhokshaja. That's the meaning of adhokshaja. So another way we can say that one who is beyond material sense perception. That way. So one of the other meaning that Vaishnava scholars give of this adhokshaja is interesting. So, Lord Krishna, he was taking rest under, he was sleeping, he was nicely enjoying his sleep under the akshar, that is the cart, axle cart. Axle cart, that pastime when Lord was sleeping below the below the axle of the cart. All the cart was full with many pots, and Lord was taking rest below. And then this demon came, Shaktasur, and he entered actually. He could enter in any form. So he came and entered into that Shakat, that cart demon, right? And then Lord Krishna, so Harivamsha explains it a little differently. In Harivamsha, When Putana comes to pick up the Lord, so Lord is at that time below the car. Sometimes the Leelas have differences. There are many different Leelas from different Kalpas. So when Putana comes to pick up the Lord, and Lord is kept there below the car. So that's why then she comes and picks up the Lord to feed him her breast milk. So, but then what happens is Lord understands her intention and then he kills her. So when she's killed, then we know that she throws away Krishna. She tries to throw away Krishna, but she's not able to do it. And then she herself falls in Kamsa's forest and then she dies. So Harivamsha says that the Lord who literally got another life below the cart axle. Adhokshaja, Adaha Akshaja, one who was Ja, born below Aksha, Adhokshaja, one who was born below the Aksha, that is the axle of the cart. Why? He was reborn actually, because such was the demoness and she would have killed him. But that Lord so you take Shaktasur pastime or you take Putana pastime, any pastime, there is no problem. But the point is that that whole incident of killing Shaktasur and all that cart, getting broken into pieces, it would have killed the Lord externally. But then he was survived even in that condition, and he was literally born again from the below of the cart. So Adhokshaja, that's the meaning. So interesting meaning from Sri Harivamsha Purana, that way. So some of the Gaudiya scholars have also said that Adhokshaja meaning can be taken here to mean Krishna only and not Adhokshaja in the general sense, Adharkritam Akshajam Jnanam, that way. But anyway, that was just an additional detail. If you see the overall topic here is of Anarthopashamam, and prior Apashtat Purusham Purnam was said. So naturally it is all topic is all Krishna. And in next verse itself, Krishna is only being referred again. So this whole thing is talking about Krishna only. No doubt about that. What Vyasadev saw is. See. So in this way, Lokasya Janato Vyasas Chakre Satvat Samhita. Further, Yasyam Vai Shruyamanayam Krishne Puram Purushe Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsa Shokamoha Bhyapa. And that Satvat Samhita is referred in the next verse as Yasyam. Yasyam Vai Shruyamanayam. What is that Ya here? Ya is that Satvat Samhita. Yasyam Vai Shruyamanayam. And see, it's like this. And Vyasadev compiled the great Satvat Samhita, in whom, if you are always hearing, or if you are hearing that particular Satvat Samhita, Yasyam Vai Shruyamanayam, one who is engaged in hearing that Satvat Samhita, what happens for that person? Bhakti hi utpadyate. That in that person's heart, bhakti gets manifest. Bhakti is manifested in such a person's heart because of mercy of Bhagavatam, because of mercy of Vaishnavas. So bhakti gets manifested in such a person's heart. And bhakti towards whom? Krishna Parama Purushe. See, this Krishna is the Lord Krishna. Parama Purushe is same as Purnam Purusham. Krishna Parama Purushe. And that bhakti drives away all the shoka moha bhayapaha. Actually, this particular thing qualifies it to mean prema bhakti. Because all shoka moha bhayapaha, everything goes away only at the level of prema. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarva samshaya shiyante chasya karmani dritevatmanishvare. That's what it is referring to. So that particular verse, where does it apply? At what level it applies? It applies at the level of prema. So all the samshayas, all the fears, whether I will achieve the Lord, what is my what is my position, constitution, everything, all sorts of doubts are resolved at that time only in Prema Bhakti. Jiva Goswami says that very clearly in this series of verses. So, Shoka Moha Bhayapaha here is actually referring to Prema Bhakti. So, this verse is referring to Prema Bhakti over here. Anyway, this discussion will come in much detail in further Anuchedas. I just wanted to give an overall flow of this series of verses. So finally he says, Sa samhitam bhagavatim kritva anukramya chatmajam shukam adhyapayamasa nivrutti niratam mune. So in this way, Vyasadeva, he made this samhita, meaning he compiled this samhita. And this samhita, he says, Bhagavati samhita or Satvat samhita, he kritva anukramya chatmajam. He says that actually this was anukramya. This was a indexed, revised edition. Anukramya kritva. Basically, he had revised the edition now because he had prior created a small Bhagavatam. You know that the Bhagavatam which was primarily based on Chatushloki and that one. So he anukramya. Anukramya means samshodhya. Edited it and expanded it and revised it. So, and then he taught it to Atmajam Shukam Adhyapayamasa. It should be Masa here, Adhyapayamasa. He taught to Srila Shukadeva Goswami, who was his son, Nivrutti Niratam Munim, because he was always completely detached from any desire for material enjoyment. Nivrutti Nirat, he was always constantly situated in any freedom from desires for material enjoyment. Nivrutti Niratam. This way. So that's the point in this series of verses. So he's introducing the subject matter over here. But I tried of sort of also explaining some components which will come in detail in future. But Srila Jiva Goswami is just introducing the series of verses. Fine. Tatra, he says, Savai Nivritti Nirataha Sarvatropekshako Muni. Kasya va mahatim etam atmarama samabhyasat. So when the sages heard this, that Vyasadeva taught this to Shukadev, who was Nivritti Niratam Muni, he was always situated in transcendence, in Brahman. So they were amazed and they developed this curiosity. So they asked this question, 179. This is ninth question, ninth verse in that chapter. They said that, that Muni, Shukadev, was Nivritti Nirataha. He was always situated in detachment, in transcendence, freedom from all material desires. Sarvatra Upekshako Muni. And he was completely indifferent to anything and everything. We saw that, right? Tadvyudasta Anyabhava. He didn't have any sort of feelings towards any material objects or anything. No. He just situated in his as at the level of Atman. He thinks himself as to be, I am Atman, that's it, Atma. So Sarvatra Upekshako Muni. So that's why he was completely different to everything. Kasyava Mahatimetam Atma Rama Samabhyasa. So such Atma Ram, how is that he took up to the study of this Mahati? Mahati means this big book, this huge treatise known as Srimad Bhagavatam. Kasyava, Kasya Hetu, by what Hetu, by what Prayojan? That he studied this great Puran, great Samhita, Mahati Samhita. So in answer to that, then Shaunak Rishi's questions are answered by Sudha Goswami. It is Shri Shaunak Prashnantarancha. After this, he speaks. Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgrantha Purukrame Kurvantya Hetukim Bhaktim Itham Bhuta Guno Hari Harer Gunakshipta Matihi Bhagavan Badarayani Adhyagan Mahadakhyanam Nityam Vishnu Janapriya. Yes, he says, that's the glory. Even the great Atma Ramas also, the great Atma Ram Munis, even though they are Nirgrantha, They are beyond studying any books. Nirgrantha. They have rid themselves of all the books because they are situated now on completely transcendental platform. Api urukrame, but they also, what do they do? Urukrame ahetukim bhaktim kurvanti. Even they perform, render devotional service unto Lord Urukrama, one who is glorified by great deeds. So even they do these things. Itham bhuta guno hari. See, this is our Lord Hari. भाई ऐसे गुणों वाले हमारे हरि. That's what the verse is speaking. That even the great Atma Ramas, although they have got rid of all attachments, they have got rid of all books, and they are beyond all that. But still, they perform devotional service. This is the glory of our Hari. Itham bhuta guno Hari. ऐसे गुणों से भरे हुए है हरि. Like that. So by this Hari's guna, by these qualities of Lord Hari, even Shukadev's mati was completely attracted. Harer guna kshipta mati. By Lord Krishna's qualities, his mati, his consciousness was completely taken over. And that's why that Bhagwan Shuka, that Bhagwan Badrayani, meaning Shuka, he went, he came back, although he was Nirgrantha, but he came and he studied this great Akhyan, Mahad Akhyanam, this great treatise called as Srimad Bhagavatam, Nityam Vishnu Jana Priyaha. And this Shukdev Goswami was very, very dear to Vaishnavas, like that, Nityam Vishnu Jana Priyaha. So Vaishnavas loved him, and when he studied Bhagavatam, all the more he became Vaishnava, favorite of Vaishnavas. So that is the point. Nityam Vishnu Jana. Okay, so now he starts explaining the verses like that. But fine, just before we go there, is there any question? See, now he will explain that first verse, Bhakti Yogena Premna and all that. But just any quick question on what we discussed. Is there any question? Okay, so if the question is not there, then I will complete this answer. Bhakti Vaibhav Prabhu.
Like I have heard that this there is one more Krishna who is in the Vaikuntha, like that. That is the planet Krishna. So then someone can say that this Krishna can refer to that Krishna also.
Okay, so when we say Krishna, so what does it refer to? Okay, then let it come, Prabhu. Apashat Purusham Purnam. In that it is being analyzed. So you see the sense of that Purnam, then you will clearly know that what it should refer to. Okay, because Purnam has a certain sense which will not be there even when Krishna is there in Golok Vaikuntha. There is a Vaikuntha in which Krishna is worshipped. Krishna and Radharani are worshipped as king and queen. But when we see that Purnam thing, then we will understand that it can't refer even over there. It has to refer to Krishna completely with his Swarup Shakti within Vrindavan. So we are coming only to that particular discussion. Let it be coming forward. Apashat Purusham Purnam, in that it will be covered. Okay. Fine. So I go here ahead. Bhakti Yogena Premna. So he says, see, in the first verse, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite. This Bhakti Yogena means actually Premna, meaning by Prema Bhakti. That's what it means. Like that. How is that? How are you translating Bhakti Yoga as Prema Bhakti or Preman? Prem Shabda is ending with Nakar, so that's why it says Premna. Bhakti Yogena. So how are you translating Bhakti Yoga as Prem? So he's quoting one verse which shows the same thing. Asveva Manga Bhajatam Bhagwan Mukundo. Muktim dadati karhichit smana bhakti yogam. This is from 5th canto, Rishabdev's section. So Krishna there, Shukdev says to Parikshit that Lord became your charioteer, Lord became your servant and all that. So such is your glory actually, that Lord became charioteer, Lord became, served all of you, Pandavas especially, in so much. He's talking about Pandavas. So how he served in such a humble way, such was his love for Pandavas. So he says that Bhajatam Bhagwan Mukundo Muktim Dadati. Sometimes Krishna may give mukti to those who are worshipping him, but he never, or rather, karhichit. He very rarely gives bhakti. Bhakti yoga he gives very, very rare. He may give even mukti action, but he doesn't give that easily. So we know here in this particular verse, Muktim Dadati Karichit Smana Bhakti Yogam, this Bhakti Yoga refers to Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti. It refers to Sadhya Bhakti actually. Sadhya Bhakti means Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti. It doesn't refer to Sadhan Bhakti there. Krishna may give Sadhan Bhakti easily, but Krishna doesn't give Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti easily. Because we know that by Bhava or Prema, one purchases Krishna. Krishna cannot neglect the desires of such a devotee. If he desires something, then Krishna has to fulfill. So you can imagine that kind of level of subservience Krishna accepts of his Bhava Bhaktas or Prema Bhaktas. So that's why he doesn't give Bhakti Yoga very easily. Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti. Bhava Prema, they're equated, Sadhya Bhakti. So he doesn't give Sadhya Bhakti that easily because he becomes completely subservient to such a devotee. So it's very difficult for him then. If devotee wants him to do something, he has to do it. He cannot say no. So that's why he doesn't give that Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti very easily to a devotee. He may give Sadhan Bhakti. Sadhan Bhakti, it's possible through his devotees, through his mercy. Sadhan Bhakti can be achieved. Of course, that is also rare, but we are talking about even rarer. Sadhan Bhakti is also Sudurlabha, but in the sense we are talking about Bhava Bhakti, especially Kleshabdi, Shubhada Moksha, Lagutakrit Sudurlabha, Sandrananda, Visheshatma, Sri Krishna Karshini Chasa. So that Sudurlabha especially is referring to the aspect of Bhava Bhakti only. We know that it's very, very rare. Not many achieve it easily. So there in this verse, Bhakti Yoga is talking about actually Prema Bhakti or Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. Bhav is ray of Prema. So they are equated for most of the times. That Iti Atra Prasiddhe. So this is well known, he says, that Bhakti Yoga over here means Prema Bhakti. Pranihite means Samahite. Pranihite means Samahite, meaning he focused, concentrated his mind completely in samadhi. He sat in samadhi and focused his mind on Supreme Lord. Samadhina anusmaratad vicheshtitam. I also quoted this verse. Just as Narad Muni had instructed him. Urukramasya khilabandha muktaye samadhina anusmaratad vicheshtitam. Narad Muni had asked him to sit in samadhi and meditate on the Lord's pastimes and then come up with this Bhagavad. Iti tam prati Shri Narada Upadesha. So this was Narada's Upadesh to Vyasadeva. Purna padasya mukta pragrahiyaya vritya. See, now he's talking about Purna. Apashyat purusham purnam. So he says the very fact that Purna pada is used here, it was not just said Purusham, but it was said Purna. So if you take Purna pada, this phrase Purna, and you take the fully unrestricted meaning, Mukta Pragraha Vritti. See, the words are understood as the meaning of the words is understood by vrittis actually. Different, you can say it as meanings. So So Mukta Pragraha means unrestricted meaning, meaning which is free from all sorts of pragraha, all sorts of limitations, limiting adjuncts. That is the Purna Pada. Purna Padasya Mukta Pragrahya Vritya. If you take the word Purnam and attach it to Purusha, Purnam Purusham. So then that has to refer to Lord Krishna, Lord Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna, which is the highest manifestation of that Supreme Lord. So he says, Bhagavan iti shabdoyam tatha purushityapi vartate nirupadhischa vasudeve khilatman. So he's quoting Padma Puran for this Padmottar Khanda Vachanam Vashtambhena. So this is also Padma Puran's Uttar Khanda, and there this is mentioned that when we say Bhagavan or Purusha, Bhagavan iti shabdoyam tatha Purusha ityapi vartate nirupadhischa vasudeve khilatmani. So when you use these words with no restriction, nirupadhi, completely they are free from any upadhi. So then typically these words are used for Lord Vasudeva. They are used for the Supreme Lord Vasudeva's son Vasudeva. So practically it is being equated. Vasudeva and Nandananda are being equated in this sense. At this particular point, the topic is only between Krishna or Paramatma. So that's why Vasudeva here is being said for Krishna. Now, within those Krishna's expansion, whether it is referring to Swayam Bhagavan or Vasudev Sankarshan from the first Vyuha, that is another topic. That we are not going there. Here, in this context, Padma Puran is talking only in terms of comparison of these words when they are used in full sense, Bhagavan or Purusha, free from any restriction in the meaning, then they are applied to Sri Krishna, Vasudeva. And this is the verdict of Padma Puran. Okay. So now he is also quoting one verse from Bhagavatam, where Purusham Param is same way equated with Purnam Purusham here. He's also, Jiva Goswami is quoting some other verses where this Purusham is again qualified by Param. Just as here in this verse, Purusham is qualified by Purnam. Okay? Apashyat Purusham Purnam. Similarly, Purusham Param. So he's drawing some comparison. So he says, Kama Kamo Yajit Somam Akama Purusham Param Akama Sarva Kamo Va Moksha Kama Udaradhi Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. So actually this Purusham Param and this Purusham Param mean two different things. You know this series of verses from 2nd canto, 3rd chapter. Which demigod should be worshipped for what purpose? And finally, Shukdev Goswami says, Akama Sarva Kama Va Moksha Kama Udharati Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham. So here comes Purusham Param, and here also comes Purusham Param. Kama Kama Yajet Somam, one who desires Kama, desire for his Kama, great sensual indulgence power, such person should worship Soma, sense gratification. Akamaha Purusham Param, and one who is Akama, one who is detached, one who is on the path of Vairagya, such person should worship Param Purusha, he says. And then finally says, but as far as Supreme Lord, Akamaha, Sarvakamaha, Mokshakama, Udaradhi, everybody should worship Supreme Lord Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. By intense devotional service, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, by Bhakti Yoga, which is free from karma or jnana, by such Bhakti Yoga, one should worship the Supreme Lord Purusham Param. So he's saying instead of worshipping so many of the demigods, one should worship directly the Supreme Lord only. Why to go to all these personalities? In the next verse, he will say the reason also of that. Because he will say that Even if you go to demigods and achieve your ends, but then only that desire will be purified, and your purification in terms of that particular desire getting purified, that will not happen. Uh, by going to demigods, those desires may get even further aggravated. But if you go to Krishna, he may give also what you want, and plus he will purify you completely. Your the desire for sense enjoyment will also go away. Of course, this might scare a materialist rather than inspire him. But the point is, if somebody knows the whole purpose of demigod worship, that purpose of demigod worship should slowly take him towards Supreme Lord's worship. So that context in third canto is a very specific context. I'll not get into that. But my point over here is only to show you two things. This Purusham Param and this Purusham Param, the way Sridhar Swami has translated these two is completely different. So you see, Iti asya vakya dvayasya, in these two vakyas where Purusham Param has come, Purva Vakya, in the first Vakya, Sridhar Swami says Purusham means Paramatmanam, Prakriti Eka Upadhim. So he says that this means actually Purusha means Paramatma, one who has Prakriti as the Upadhi. You know, Upadhi means what? That is his field of acting. Paramatma doesn't act beyond material energy. You know that. Paramatma acts only within the realm of material energy. That's what is the definition of Paramatma. Only Maya Shakti. But Bhagavan is the feature which acts with Chit Shakti, Swarup Shakti. So that's why Paramatma, when you say Purusham Param, and it means Prakriti Ek Upadhim, meaning one who has accepted only Prakriti as his field of activity or field of Leela, Srishti Leela, one who is doing only Srishti Leela and all that. So that is Paramatma. So that is referred over here. But when it is said, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, by Bhakti Yoga, which is free from jnana and karma, one should worship Supreme Lord. Then Uttar Vakya, Sridhar Swami says, this is Sridhar Swami's words. Purusham Paramatmanam Prakriti. These are all Sridhar Swami's words. But in the second statement, he says Purusham means Purnam Nirupadhin iti Tikanusarena. See, when he said this Purusham Param, there it means Nirupadhi, meaning without any limiting adjunct, without any particular limited field of action. Just like in Paramatma's case, the field of action is limited to Maya Shakti. But that's not the case with Supreme Lord, Krishna. So Supreme Lord, he has complete access to all his material energies or all his spiritual energies, everything. See, both Paramatma and Krishna remain beyond material energy only. There is no doubt about it. But have they restricted themselves to only Maya Shakti or they haven't? That's the question. So Shri Krishna or the Nirupadhi, free from Upadhi designation, that designation is basically Maya, meaning Prakriti. Paramatma is the Lord who only has pastimes with Maya Shakti. That's it. But Supreme Lord, when we talk about, so Swayam Bhagavan is the Lord who is having pastimes with Chit Shakti. So that's why here Purnam, this meaning should be taken. Purnaha Purusho Atra. He says that you should take this meaning Purusham Param because he is only worshipped by Bhakti Yoga. By Bhakti Yoga, he is worshipped the Purna Purusha like that. Of course, does it mean that other Bhagavan features are not worshipped by Bhakti Yoga? No, they are also worshipped. Vamana, Nrsimha, everybody can be worshipped with Bhakti. But when we say Purnam Purusham, then it will not refer to Vamana, Nrsimha and all of them. It will refer only to Swayam Bhagavan eva uchyate. He says it here. See, Swayam Bhagavan. That way. Only Swayam Bhagavan. So that's Sri Krishna, who is Swayam Bhagavan, the original Lord, who is the root of all other, let it be first Chaturvyuha or second Chaturvyuha or Vasudev Krishna or whatever. Swayam Bhagavan, the final one, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He is what is only mentioned over here. So that is Shilaji Goswami's explanation, Purnam Purusham. So in that sense, even when Krishna is put worship of Krishna as an Aishwarya feature, Aishwarya Bhav, so that is also not Mukta Pragraha Vritti. It is not also completely unrestricted meaning. So the complete unrestricted meaning would be actually Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna, the Lord who is Swayam Bhagavan in that particular sense. So even we take Krishna in Dwaraka, Krishna in Golok Vaikuntha, whatever, all those forms which are mentioned. But the point is, Purna Purushottam should refer to Swayam Bhagavan, who is the root, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And that's the point of this particular Anucheda. Okay. So Baldev's points are covered almost. He said, just as Shukdev Goswami's Nishtha was shown, similarly here Vyasdev's Nishtha is being shown. Vidhay Nishtha. Mukta Pragraha, he says, this Purusham Purnam word, he says, Yatha Ashvaha Pragrahe Mukte Balavadi Dhavati Evam. Just as if you take a horse and you take off its reins, it's free from reins. So then how he will run, right? Reins means he's controlled horse. But if you remove the reins, pragraha, the ropes, then he can run fully. So similarly, Purnam Purusham here will give the highest manifestation of that Purusha, not only Paramatma, but even beyond Paramatma. Even within the Bhagavan features. See, Paramatma feature this name gets applied till Mahavishnu. Beyond Mahavishnu, Bhagavan is only applied. But even in that Bhagavan, Purnam Purusham will show Swayam Bhagavan. Understand? Narayan is also known as Bhagavan. Mahavaikuntapati Narayan is also Bhagavan. And anybody beyond them is Bhagavan only. Balram is also Bhagavan only. But then we are talking about Swayam Bhagavan. When we say Apashyat Purusham, that's the point. Like that. So, Hare Krishna. Okay. So that is this Anucheda. Okay. So any question? Yes, Bhakti Vaibhav.
Regarding Paramam Purusham, there is one verse in Bhagavad Gita, there's 8 chapter 8 verse. There also this word comes Paramam Purusham. Now this Paramam Purusham is in a third person, right? According to Sanskrit. And this shloka is being told by Krishna to Arjuna. So it indicates that someone else other than Krishna is Paramam Purusham. How to understand this?
Say within Bhagavad Gita, Krishna sometimes he speaks in first person, sometimes he addresses himself also in third person. Sometimes he addresses himself as non-different than Brahman also. So Krishna, there can be multiple ways in which he is referring to himself. So when he says even Purusham, what is that? Tameva Gacham. You go and take shelter of that particular Purusha. So sometimes people have this sort of. So that's why, Prabhu, see, you don't have to so much go on this Purusha thing. Purusha means what I'm saying. Person, first person, second person, third person. See, these things are not given very high regard by any commentators. Just as you know that particular sutra called as Arthakrama Pathakramo Baliyan. if something comes in order, suppose Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti, Shabdeti. So Mayavadis or especially Advaitwadis, what they will say, Brahma comes first. So that's why Brahma is highest. Paramatma comes second, so lower, and Bhagwan is the lowest, they will say, by 1, 2, 3. That way. Sometimes it's other way around. The latest one is considered the highest. Uttarottar Sreshtyam, Purva Purva Sreshtyam. So Jiva Goswami says, don't get into this. These kramas now, they don't mean much actually. Artha kramad, Patha kramad, Artha kramo baliyam. See, you have to see what is the Artha krama, meaning what meaning is governed by what order is governed by the meaning. You analyze those words. What do you mean by Bhagavan? Bhagavan means one who is full of energies, and Brahman is devoid of energies. So, which one is greater? You have to go by Artha krama. Paramatma means only one who is engaged with Maya Shakti. So, Arthakrama is greater than Pathakrama. So, same principle is also applied for these persons. Sometimes Krishna may say I, but then how that I is translated by Mayavadis, you see, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, they will translate very differently. So, that's why that person thing is okay. I mean, it's not very important. What is important is what are those qualifiers that he is speaking about that particular personality. If he is saying aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate, so what does that mean? That concept sarvasya prabhavo, what does it mean? What does that matta sarvam pravartate mean? That is artha krama. That is very important. So in that aham sarvasya prabhavo, upadan karan is coming. Matta sarvatam sarvam pravartate nimitta karan is coming. Based on those concepts, we establish Siddhanta. So sometimes Krishna speaks himself in first person, sometimes in second person, sometimes in third person. That's his choice. He does that actually. Sanskrit is also that kind of language where you can speak in that manner. Sometimes people ask questions like this also. Why is Krishna saying Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja? Go. You know. So that is just not knowing the language. Vraja, there doesn't mean he's telling to go away. No. He's saying that Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So Vraja is Gatau. Gatau can mean Jana or Ana, both. It can mean both the things. It can mean Meri Sharan mein aao or it can mean Meri Sharan mein jao. Both the things. So that's just ignorance of the language in that case. So similarly here also, sometimes he may speak in third person or first person or second person, but those are not some things which are taken as very important tools of interpreting by our acharyas. They always go with the words which he is speaking, and that arthakrama should decide what is the meaning. You understand?
Yes, Guruji. Guruji, I had one more question. Can I ask?
Yeah, yes.
Guruji, regarding Paramatma, we are speaking. I had this question. Like when we say that Paramatma is in the heart of the person, so that heart refers to like the heart of the gross body, subtle body, or even of the soul. So recently, I came across Prabhupada's purport in 8.9 Bhagavad Gita, where Prabhupada writes like this: the living entity is 1/10 of the tip of the hair, but the Lord is so inconceivably small that he enters into the heart of this particle. Paramatma is within the heart of the soul, right? So this seems like that. So, so now it appears that even when the jiva goes to the spiritual world, so in his heart, in the soul's heart, the Paramatma is there. It appears like that. So is it? What is the right understanding?
Okay. See, when we say the heart, yeah, it is certainly not the physical heart of a jiva. Sometimes there are some jivas who don't have heart only. So there is no heart. So where will Paramatma reside then? Some species are like that, right? Some organisms where there is no heart only. So what do we mean by that? So that's why when we say heart here, it is basically referring to soul only. So the consciousness or the when soul is compared to be a spiritual spark, So that spark has some effulgence, isn't it? Some light is there of that spark in the sense of spiritual spark. So there is this essence of a spirit soul where he has consciousness. And in that consciousness, the Lord is there, Paramatma is situated over there. So now that particular soul, because he gets the body, so that body and then that heart may be seen as the resting place of Paramatma. But actually, it is what? See, actually, even body and soul thing is what? We say soul is within the body. It is only in terms of identification. It is actually upadhi. The soul cannot be touched only by body. You know this, right? Soul can't be touched only by body. So what do we mean by that it is there in the body? So it is actually in the sense of upadhi. It is in terms of the kshetra. That much field of that body, subtle body and gross body, is being controlled by one particular soul. So that is what it means basically. Now, where is that exactly soul? Where in the body? In the region of heart? Then what about those jivas where there is no heart? Or what do we mean by heart? See, basically within the jivas, and there are these pancha pranas, and the floating point of pancha pranas is there in the body, in that kshetra, and on that kshetra where the pancha pranas are floating, jiva is said to be there on that equilibrium point. Jiva meaning the spirit soul is lying over there. But even with those pancha pranas, he is not riveted or something. Even that stays away only from him because that is spirit soul. It cannot be just touched by gross matter, also by subtle matter also. So when we say jiva, basically it is in terms of which jiva has on control of which gross and subtle body. He is said to be in that body. That's it. So for a general understanding, we may say, yes, yes, in the body, the soul is there. What do we mean by that soul is there? Is it riveted within the body or something like that? It cannot be riveted at all. It cannot be attached to the body at all. But still, situated at a particular point, it has a control over certain kshetra. So that's why it is said that the body is being governed by the soul, or soul, as soon as it leaves, then body becomes useless. That way. So what it means is that kshetra, that control of kshetra is being taken away, finished that way. So that's why for Paramatma also, for that matter, when we say Paramatma is there in the heart of the jiva, so it doesn't mean physical heart. It means in his essence, in his consciousness, Paramatma is there. He's guiding him, and he's whatever, Upadrashta, Anumanta, and all those things. So that particular function of Paramatma, when Jiva goes back to the spiritual world, it stops. It's no longer there. And what happens now? So what happens is that function is taken care in the spiritual world by Bhagavan himself. Now that Sham Sundar Bhagavan, if somebody goes to Goloka, that Sham Sundar Bhagavan only, he acts like a Paramatma within his heart. So he gets some inspiration to serve the Lord, or he is thinking within his heart something. So some indication is coming within. Who is all? That's not Paramatma. That is Lord Krishna only giving directly. So there is a Paramatma within the spiritual world also. Jiva Goswami begins this discussion in the Bhagavad Sandarbh, no, Paramatma Sandarbh, with this first question only: is there Paramatma in the spiritual world? And he says, yes, there is Paramatma in the spiritual world, but that Paramatma is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is only playing the role of Paramatma. So when jivas are leaving the material world, no, so that function of Paramatma stops over there, and Supreme Lord takes over, and he acts as somebody who is there guiding him within the heart. So at no point of time Paramatma is captured or like that, and that's why when soul goes, so Paramatma also has to go. No, it's not like that. Neither soul is captured with the body in the sense physical capturing, nor Paramatma is captured within the soul, physical capturing. No, it's all at the realm of consciousness that way. So that's why body is considered upadhi for the soul. See, upadhi means it is something like, actually, there is no direct touch there. See, you have a crystal. Take some crystal and you bring it to some red colored thing. So what happens? That crystal takes on the red color. Actually, both are not connected, but red color is taken by that crystal. Why? Because the thing which is ahead of him is the crystal. It's the red thing, whatever, red rose or something. So crystal became now a reddish. So that is called as upadhi. Upadhi means it appears reddish, although it is disconnected. So similarly, asambhohi ayam purushaha, it is said. Jiva is, Atma is actually disconnected only from Jiva, from the body, gross body. Then why is it identifying himself? That is only called as upadhi, because by his karma, that identification is there in that manner. But they actually remain disconnected. Jiva and the subtle body, or Jiva and gross body, cannot be riveted to each other. So I hope this made some sense.
Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other question? Apashyat Purusham Purnam Mayam Chadadapashrayam. No questions further. Okay, so fine. I will proceed. There are 5 minutes remaining, but the next Anucheda is little quick, so that's why I might end it also. Let's see. So further explanation of this. Next Anucheda is explaining this text only. Very simple. Purvam iti pathe purvam eva aham ihasam iti tat purushasya purushatvam iti Shrauta nirvachan vishesh puraskarena cha sa eva uchyate. Sometimes instead of purusham purnam, purvam purusham is seen. In some part Vedas of Bhagavatam, you don't find apashyat purusham purnam, but you find apashyat purusham purvam. Instead of purnam, purvam is like. So Jiva Goswami says it's sometimes purvam parte. If the Varjan rendition has purvam, then he says purvam eva aham iha asam iti. So he's quoting some shrutis where it is mentioned that Lord only was there alone in the beginning. Nobody else was there. Krishna was only there in the beginning. Nobody else was there. Tat purushasya purushatvam. In fact, that's the meaning of purusha also. What does the word purusha mean? See, purusha's typical meaning is purau shete iti purusha. One who sleeps in the abode. Purau shete. One who lies down within the jivas. That is known as purusha, Paramatma, because he lies down within the abode of every jiva, within the body of every jiva. Lies down means he is there. Not that kind of meaning. Tomara hridaya sada govinda vishram. No. Point is, purau shete. He is there in every pura, every puri, meaning every body of the jiva, everywhere. That's one meaning of purusha. Or another meaning of purusha is one who was pura asit saha purusha. One who was there, only he was there in the beginning, nobody else was there. Absolutely. When there is no creation, that time also he is only there, alone, Supreme Lord. So that is also known as Purusha. That Purushasya Purushatva. So Srila Jiva Goswami is quoting this and saying that Shraut Nirvachan Vishesh Puraskarena. These are some Shraut traditions, statements, Nirvachan from a Shruti tradition. So that also shows Supreme Lord only. That also shows Lord himself, Purvam Purusham or Purna Purusha. And that is only shown there also. A Lord who is even source of Paramatma. When there is creation to be maintained, one creation to be done, one who manifests, Vasudeva becomes then. We know that first Purusha, Sankarsana's Amsha, like that. So Vasudeva takes that form and becomes Sankarsana Amsha. First Purusha, then Pradyumna Amsha, second Purusha, Aniruddha Amsha, third Purusha, like that. So that Supreme Lord, original Lord, is again that Krishna only. Tam apashyat Shri Vedavyas iti. And that Lord was seen by the Vedavyas, or Vedavyas saw that particular Lord. Iti Swarup Shakti Mantam eva iti etat Swayam eva labdham. So naturally, when that full, complete manifestation of Lord was seen by Vyasadeva, it means it is not partial manifestation, which is Paramatma. It is not devoid of potency, which is Brahma. No, it is Purna Purusha. So that means it is Swarupa Shakti Mantam. And that Lord who is with Swarup Shakti, that Lord who is with his eternal consort in the spiritual world, not with Maya, who is also his consort only, or Dasi in the material world. But this is Swarup Shakti Manta. Swarup Shakti Manta, matlab you understand, na? Jo Swarup Shakti मान है, जो स्वरूप शक्ति के साथ, ना कि माया शक्ति के साथ, क्योंकि वही तो पूर्ण पुरुष का बात हो गई. जैसे पूर्णम चंद्रम पश्यति इति उक्ते कांतिमंतम अपश्यति. Very nice example he is giving. When you say I saw the full moon, when you say I saw the full moon, do you mean Amavasya's moon? Or you mean Prathama, whatever, Dvitiya, Tritiya's moon? Or do you mean full moon means Purnima? Purnima's moon. So we don't mean Chandra Lekhas of Pratipat or no. We mean not crescent moons, but we mean full moon. When we say Purnam Chandram Apashyat, भाई मैंने पूरा चांद देखा, मतलब आपने पौर्णिमा का चांद देखा, ये बात है. कांति मंतम. So that is his highest kanti. That is his highest effulgence, highest light, the greatest luminosity, the greatest luminousness or luminosity is seen when we say Kanti Mantra, full, complete light. That is there, iti labhyate. So that's what the meaning is over here also. Atayeva, Tomadya Purusha Sakshad Ishvara Prakrite Para, Mayam Vidasya Chit Shaktya Kaivalya Sthita Atman. So that's why this verse also later comes in 7th chapter. Very powerful verse actually. A lot of commentary is there on this verse. So this verse says that how Lord is Adya Purusha and he is beyond all the Prakriti. And he is always situated in his Chit Shakti. By his Chit Shakti, Mayam Vyudasya, he has kept Maya away. Mayam Vyudasya. भाई माया को जिन्होंने दूर रखा है, माया को जिन्होंने अपने पास नहीं रखा है. Why? Because Chit Shakti is close to him. Maya Shakti is behind him, away from him. Baldev Vidyabhushan said, just like consort of king is with him in his palace, but the Dasis, they can't enter even the inside of palace. No, their only consort can enter. So similarly, he says that Maya Devi is like in the outer precincts of Lord's palace, and his beloved consorts are there in the inner precincts. So that is Mayam Vidasya Chit Shaktya Kaivalya Sthita Atman. So this our Supreme Lord, by his Chit Shakti, he has kept Maya away. Maya Devi is not his close associate in terms of his close pastimes. Kaivalya Sthitatmani. In this way, he is always situated in Kaivalya. That Kaivalya basically means his pastimes with his Swarup Shakti or his pastimes with Chit Shakti. This. Okay, fine. Further, he will explain about Maya, the word Maya, and also he will explain about the solution for Maya and all that. So it's okay. I will not explain this now because it might take time. Maya's topic is coming up, so then it will have some more discussion. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we will stop here today. See, you can go through all these series of verses through Bhagavatam's commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary, or commentary of Jiva Goswami, because this is a very nice section actually, a wonderful understanding you will also get through this section. And it will also be easier when we take these anuchedas. See, just 2-3 more anuchedas have a lot of text. After that, almost 7-8 anucheda have just one line. One anucheda is just one line, but so much discussion in that because Advaitvad is there. Then another anucheda, one line or 2 lines. That's all anuchedas are there. These 2-3 anuchedas are a little big. They will take some explanation. But 34 onwards, just 1 or 2 lines anuchedas will go on for 10 anuchedas almost like that. So that is the section which we which will complete little fast. Okay. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. Jai Shri Tattva Sandarbha ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Premanand.
Hare Krishna.